This just in, the NFL world is on fire as the Cleveland Browns QB battle between Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson erupts into a no-limits showdown, where every snap in training camp could decide a career and a franchise's future.
He was the least likely quarterback in the NFL to complete a pass at or beyond the line of scrimmage last year. His completion percentage well under expectation on those throws, posting the second worst CPOE in the league. Now, he was inaccurate on more than 1 of every 5 attempts. So, Field, Sanders is in a quarterback competition with Deshaun Watson for the starting job. Who do you think gives them the best chance to win?
Well, I lean towards Shedeur Sanders because we've seen him play most recently. What I would say, though, is this is the truest quarterback competition in the NFL. What I mean by that is whoever performs best in training camp should be the week 1 starter. There are other quarterback competitions where if you have a young quarterback and he narrowly outperforms the veteran quarterback in training camp, I still would lean on the veteran early in the season to alleviate some of the pressure on a young player. In Cleveland, whether it's Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson, maybe even Dillon Gabriel, whichever one performs best in training camp should be on the field for that opening week.
I thought the value they got for Myles Garrett was very good. It's not, he didn't have 8 different teams who were willing to be in on a trade like that. They really had one team that was there, and it was the Rams. Where I like the trade for the Browns, and we'll see. I mean, you're not going to be able to fully evaluate this trade out for a couple of years here. But where I like the trade for the Browns is if Jared Verse were traded in a vacuum, if you just traded Jared Verse tomorrow, he would be a 1+ player. You would have to go up a first-round pick and more because it's a 24-year-old ascending edge player, linebacker who can impact the game in a lot of ways. He is a great culture guy. He's a really good dude. He's exactly the type of person and player you'd want to build around. So if you count him as, let's say, a first and a third, that's probably roughly what it would have cost to get Jared Verse in a trade. Now, if you add up the trade, it is 2 first-round picks plus 2 third-round picks plus a second-round pick. And yes, in future years, you degrade those by a round, and there's all kinds of ways you can calculate it. But I would argue, for all the people saying it should have been 3 first-round picks, it kind of was. If you add it up, and if you hit on these picks, it's just in a different form. And by the way, you don't have to worry about whiffing on one of those first-round picks because that guy's Jared Verse. He's already a really good player.
Yeah.
I don't know how much people in Cleveland, watch Rams games, watch the NFC, but they're going to be introduced to a guy who is a difference maker on the field, highly entertaining off the field, has a lot of different interests. He's going to be a great fit for what is going to be a different energy, a different vibe, even if it's basically the same scheme that they're running now in Cleveland. I think the other part of it, to bring this full circle, where we'll really be able to evaluate this trade, yes, from the Rams' perspective, it starts out with Myles Garrett. Does he help you win a Super Bowl this year? If he doesn't, this season is a disappointment. Make no doubt about that. But let's think ahead to, let's say, 2028. Browns in 2025 have one of, if not the best draft class in the entire NFL. They did great from Mason Graham to Carson Schwarzenegger being the defensive rookie of the year to bringing in Harold Fannin and bringing in Quinshon Judkins, who was really effective in his first year. They had a really, really good draft class, and that's a great starting point. You got to hope this year's draft class is also good. We'll see what the quarterback decision ends up being, and right now, Shedeur Sanders has ascended in the offseason. Deshaun Watson's played 19 games in 5 years. We'll find out who comes out on top of that battle. The answer, if you were having to guess right now, I'd say probably neither guy, just based on what we know and the situation there. So then the Browns. What if the Browns, who made this trade of one of the greatest players of his era, Myles Garrett, use the Rams pick in 2027, maybe combine it with their own to go up and get their quarterback of the future? And what if then somewhere in 28, 29, the Browns are competitive? I know that can be tough to envision because of everything that's happened. They did go to the playoffs twice in 6 years under Kevin Stefanski. Try to wrap your mind around, let's say the Browns are good. And what if Ty Simpson and the Browns quarterback both emerge?
We got to talk about the NFL. Shedeur Sanders has made up significant ground in the Browns QB race, apparently, and is neck and neck with Deshaun Watson as minicamp comes to a close. Per Mary Kay Cabot, head coach Todd Monken had previously been close to naming Watson as his starter entering training camp. Now, that's kind of speculation and up in the air. Fellas, are you guys giving Shedeur a chance to start this year for the Cleveland Browns?
Todd Monken essentially insinuated that the door was closed based upon everything we had heard out of Cleveland and based upon the repetitions. Door was closed. Then you get to minicamp and Shedeur takes every first team rep. Monken ain't no dummy. And this Monken's only been there for 2 months. Monken knows whoever his quarterback is going to be needs as many reps as possible with the ones, especially given you drafted a receiver in the first round, a receiver in the second round, plus Harold Fannin is probably your second best receiving threat, second round player, second year player, Quinshawn Judkins, second year player. So you have 4 contributors to the offense that are in their second year or younger. Whoever your quarterback is needs as many reps as possible. The fact that he gave Shedeur first team reps for a whole period of practice, that tells me it's not just going to be landslide Deshaun Watson. The money says it should be Deshaun. The ceiling says it should be Deshaun, but Todd Monken isn't giving away first team reps for free. Here's my point of tension though. Stop giving him reps if that's the case. And emphasis on if that's the case before all these Shedeur fans come killing me. If Shedeur is not going to start week 1, then stop wasting first team reps on him.
But we all know who's going to start. It's good to hear, though. Great to hear that Shedeur Sanders, your young, who should have been a higher ranked guy, or sorry, higher drafted guy, is in position to potentially compete for that starting job.
I did want to ask Shady though, because we had TJ.
Ask me.
Yeah, you said short leash. TJ said about 3 to 4 games is what he's giving Deshaun. If he doesn't show himself and improve himself, and not show himself, he's got a history of that. That was a bad choice of words. If he doesn't prove himself in the first 4 weeks of the season, TJ would like to see the Browns move to Shedeur. What is considered a short leash?
I mean, we already seen enough of
Deshaun playing bad in Cleveland.
Come on, man. You know what I mean? I don't want to harp on how bad he's been, but he's been bad, like real bad, right? Real bad.
So if you the GM, you giving him 4 weeks?
Yeah, we done seen it. I owe you all this money. You've been terrible, man. He gave you $20 million. You've been trash.
This is not a competition anymore. This is a collision course. Inside the Cleveland Browns facility, 2 quarterbacks are not just fighting for a job, they are fighting for control of an entire franchise's direction. One is a former number 1 overall pick with a massive contract and heavy expectations. The other, a rising rookie voice forcing his way into every conversation. And now, the numbers are becoming impossible to ignore. Last season, Deshaun Watson was statistically one of the most inefficient quarterbacks in the entire NFL, the least likely quarterback in the league to complete a pass at or beyond the line of scrimmage. His completion percentage on those throws sat dramatically below expectation, posting the 2nd worst CPOE in the league, and he was inaccurate on more than 1 in every 5 pass attempts. This is not just regression, this is collapse-level inconsistency. And now standing across from him, Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback who hasn't just entered the conversation, he's forcing it open. And just when the battle looked like it was settling, minicamp changed everything. Reports out of Cleveland suggest a shift no one expected. What was once considered a controlled path toward Watson being named starter suddenly turned into a full-scale quarterback rotation experiment. Shedeur Sanders didn't just receive reps, he received first-team reps, the most valuable snaps in football preparation. And not for a moment, but across entire practice sequences. Inside the building, that decision carries weight, because head coach Todd Monken understands something critical. Whoever starts week 1 needs chemistry, timing, and command of an offense built around young weapons. And that offense is loaded. First-round receiver, second-round receiver, emerging tight end threat, a running back group still developing chemistry. This is not a veteran offense anymore. This is a developmental ecosystem. So why give Sanders real starter reps? Because the truth is beginning to leak through the structure. This is no longer a protected QB1 situation. But while Cleveland debates the present, one decision from the past is still shaking the entire foundation. The quarterback battle is not happening in isolation. It exists in the shadow of one of the most controversial roster decisions in recent Browns history, the Myles Garrett trade discussions that reshaped the franchise's identity. Analysts argue the Browns didn't just trade value, they restructured it. In exchange, Cleveland received multiple first-round picks, second and third-round assets, long-term draft flexibility. One evaluation framed it like this: if you convert the value mathematically, It's effectively close to 3 first-round picks in total value, spread across assets. And from the Rams side, the logic was simple. Acquiring a player like Myles Garrett means immediate championship pressure. If he doesn't deliver a Super Bowl run, the move becomes judged as failure. But from Cleveland's perspective, something more strategic is forming. A rebuild disguised as competitiveness. Even players like Jared Verse were evaluated as near 1+ impact players, players you would normally pay a first and third round pick to acquire alone. And that brings us to the most dangerous question in Cleveland. What is the actual plan? Inside Cleveland's long-term vision, one season is already being treated as a pivot point, not a destination. The 2025 draft class is already being called one of the strongest recent foundations. Defensive additions like Mason Graham, breakout defensive impact players, offensive contributors like Harold Fannin, rookie running back Quinshon Judkins showing early efficiency. But the quarterback position remains the fracture line. Shedeur Sanders is rising. Deshaun Watson has played only 19 games in 5 years. And internally, there is a growing belief, uncomfortable but real, that neither quarterback may ultimately be the long-term answer. That's where the 2027 draft picks from earlier trades become critical. The Browns could package future capital to move up and select their franchise quarterback in a clean reset. A timeline is forming. 2025, evaluation year. 2026, decision year. 2027, possible QB draft move. 2028 to 2029, contention window. It sounds theoretical until you realize teams have rebuilt faster from worse. But all of that future planning means nothing if week 1 collapses. Now, the conversation turns ruthless. There are voices inside and outside the building asking the same question. There are voices inside and outside the building asking the same question. If Deshaun Watson starts, how long is the leash? Some analysts say 3 to 4 games. Others argue that number is already too generous based on prior performance. Because the reality is simple. Cleveland has already seen struggling versions of Watson. The production hasn't matched expectation, and patience is no longer infinite. And now the pressure is layered. A rising rookie behind him. A coaching staff under scrutiny. A front office watching long-term asset value. A fan base demanding clarity, not patience. So the question is no longer who starts week 1. It becomes, how long before the next decision is forced? In Cleveland, this is no longer just a quarterback battle. It is a test of belief, patience, and survival. And one decision in training camp could echo all the way into the future of the franchise.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.